Welcome to the February 10th Valley View School Board meeting. I'd like to ask everybody to silence your phones and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Vice President Zach. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Liz, you want to do that? Board affirmation statement, Member Campbell.
Our mission is to empower all learners to be college, career, and life ready, and to develop, grow, and achieve as productive citizens.
Agenda, Ms. Kinder.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to ask the board to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion?
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Treasurer's report. Mr. Grisappi, if you would, please.
Treasurer's Action Report 5.1 includes the monthly reports for January 2020. Included in those reports are the interim obligation payments for the month of January totaling $4,642,028.88 for your action.
Motion?
So move.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, a roll call vote would be in order.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
Treasurer's
Schedule of
Action
bills.
Report 5.2 is a schedule of bills for the month of February. We've got 6 funds representing total bills payable of $4,018,178.80.
Motion?
Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
Treasurer's Action Information Reports, Summary of Investments, the State Funding Update, as well as the School Trust Account Activity are also included for your information.
Any discussion or questions of Mr. Grisaffi? State funding report? I always ask.
Not much difference from last month. $2.6 million owed in the 30 to 60 day range from the state, which again, you really can't complain about, all things considered.
Oh, we've been as much as 14 million, correct? Consent agenda items. Ms. Kinder.
Yes, sir. I would like to ask the board to approve consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.5. 6.1, executive session minutes from January 27th, 2020. 6.2, gifts to Independence Elementary School, Irene King Elementary School, Woodview Elementary School, and Romeoville High School. 6.3, trip for Bolingbrook High School. 6.4, student activity contract approval request for Jane Addams Middle School with Scholastic Book Fairs. And 6.5, student activity contract approval request for John Lukanzik Middle School with LaBrade fundraising.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion?
I have a question. If you look at 6.2, the Woodview gift, it says that this gift is going to be used to pay off student loan debt. Just kind of wondering what Woodview kids...
I believe that is the unpaid lunch fee balances. This gift was specifically from Bolingbrook Church to pay for those student account balances that were in the negative as a way of supporting students in need.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the clarification. We have a motion second. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo? Yes. Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Student staff recognition, Illinois High School Association Competitive Dance Qualifiers, RHS. Mr. Kinder, if you would, please.
Good evening, President Quigley, members of the board, members of senior leadership, members of the audience and community. It gives me great honor and privilege to bring to you tonight our state final competitors for the IHSA competitive dance competition. This is the first time in a long time, if first time ever, that our RHS competitive dance team has qualified for the state tournament. I had the privilege to go down to Bloomington 2 weeks ago and sit next to former board member Gugis and watch his daughter perform on this team. So it was a great honor to go down and see these girls' hard work pay off in a season. So our coach, Kristen Joy, is going to explain a little bit about them.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Joy, and I'm the head varsity coach for the Spartanets dance team. We have 12 amazing dancers that this year committed themselves to teamwork. We all came in with one goal at the beginning of our competitive season, which started in October, and we wanted to qualify. This has been a goal, especially for our seniors, for the last 4 years. This is my 5th year coaching, and could not be more proud of the accomplishment we've made, the improvements we've made as a team. Our routine we were able to adapt our routine throughout the season and highlight each dancer and their talent that they have. Our contemporary piece was able to go through new elements that were never seen before. So thank you. We would like to thank our support for the season from our fans, family members, administration, and school. Our team is made up of 12 dancers with our manager, Brianna Clark, Emily Doty, Anis Gomez, Brianna Gomez, Maya Gugis, Emily Leahy, Anna Magana, Daniela Magana, Faith Miller, Kristen Myers, Brittany Olvera, and Amelia Seaman. Thank you.
Yeah,
All
fire.
right.
Yep.
President Quigley, obviously very honored to be up here again to recognize another group of Spartans that were able to make it down to the IHSA state finals again this year for their 2nd consecutive year, and that is our competitive cheer. This year in the co-ed division, made it downstate. I had the privilege of definitely going and watching them at the sectional competition, at the state competition this past weekend. They did RHS proud. But the one thing I just want to mention that I saw is one of those things about VVSD that that you really like to see. It was our team that was charged with going first at the Joliet Central sectional, and it was just such a great sign to see the Bolingbrook cheer team be there cheering our team on to break the silence, and show that. So thank you, BHS Cheer. That was awesome to see, and I know it gave our team the confidence to go perform and pull off a great routine and a state qualifying routine at that. So without further ado, Miss Chrissy Kinder.
Ooh, sorry. Good evening. As Mr. Kinder said, I'm Chrissy Kinder. I'm the head cheerleading coach. I'd like to say thank you to the board members and senior administration. A couple other quick thank yous. I do want to say thank you to our RHS administration, as they've been very supportive over the past 7 years of my coaching career, and especially the past few seasons coming out to see us, coming down state into sectionals as well. Another quick thank you, my 2 assistant coaches, Kaylee Johnson and Renee Dignan. I couldn't do this without them. I do feel like it's so important to have a great assistant coach, someone that you can bounce your ideas off of, and just very much appreciated to have such a dedicated two people beside me. This year we did move into the co-ed division. This was our first time in this division in 10 years. We were very proud of this success. We had some success down at ICCA, finishing second place. And in addition to that, we did, as Mr. Kinder mentioned, finish fourth place at our sectional. We're very proud of the culture that we've built with this team. And without further ado, I would like to congratulate my wonderful 21 athletes. Nicholas Ajiman. Aurelia Arriaga, Alyssa Baldwin, Sarah Kaufman, Mira Escalon, Madison Florence, Lily Griffin, Aaliyah Jones, Larissa Leonard, Tia Martin, Emily Reyes, Alejandra Rivas, Christina Rodriguez Jones, Eugene Shelby, Harley Silman, Jaden Swearingen, Tyann Turgan, Kendall Vira, Stephanie Wetzig, Sierra Worley, and Karina Zotto.
It's always great when the cheerleaders are up there. They always smile. The wrestling guys, not so much.
All right. One last time for Romeoville High School. Nice. That's a loud clap, Zach. That's pretty good. Yeah. All right. To acknowledge our Illinois State Scholars, Romeoville High School, along with the Board of Education and senior leadership, would like to congratulate the 16 of the 30 RHS students that have been named Illinois State Scholars by the Illinois Students Assistance Commission. This selection of this prestigious award is based on the students' academic performance after their first 6 semesters of their high school coursework and their performance on standardized tests. At this time, we'd also like to thank all of these students' parents, along with their teachers, that they've had support through their academic journey, through their life here in Valley View. So thank you, parents, and thank you, teachers. Of the 30 and of the 17 that we have here, just some little statistics, of the 17 that we have here, 15 of those that we have here with us, of the 17 of the 30 total, started in Valley View as kindergartners and made it all the way through VVSD as being an Illinois State Scholar. So thank you to all those teachers all the way through. And we're going to go in reverse order just because Eleanor always gets called last, and we're going to start her first with her recognition. So our first Illinois State Scholar, Eleanor Zahorik. Amelia Vadad, Ryan Sayad, Zachary Smith, Abdullah Schwabi, Jacob Popowski, Maria Picasso, Arda Osmani, Praise Osenloy, Faith Miller, Jenna Mandrell, Claudia Maldonado, Samuse Abajaneva, Jocelyn Holland, Spencer Borbis, Jovanella Baez, And we have one more left to introduce. And this student is an Illinois State Scholar, along with also hearing some other good news today that we officially can release it. But we have a student that's named to the National Merit Scholar Finalist list, which puts him in the top 1% out of 1.5 million students in the country. And I know that I thought I saw Megan and Matt and Carol are in the audience here. They are the older brother, sister, and mother, Carol, of a very special student, Ryan Boots.
While they're doing that, next up, BHS Competitive Cheer.
Dr. Pascavage, proud principal of Bolingbrook High School. I'd like to thank the community, my colleagues, the Board of Education, President Quigley. Miss Casey never gets recognized, so Mr. O'Driscoll, our attorney. Shannon Price, our competitive cheer coach, is going to come up to talk a little bit about our team and their accomplishments. Shannon Price.
Sorry, we're short. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the board for inviting us to be recognized this evening. To our principal, Dr. Pascavage, our assistant principal of athletics and activities, Mr. Rose, and the entire administrative team at Bolingbrook High School, we would like to say thank you for the support you've shown to us all year long. I'd also like to thank my assistant coach, Ariel Stuslav. She's the yin to my yang, and I couldn't have done it without her. I love you. I was beyond honored to be the head coach for our team this year. From the very beginning when we started in June, it was very apparent that this team was going to be different. In all my years of coaching, I've never seen a team that loves each other the way these athletes do. They are more than just a team, they are a family. Their bonds with one another helped them overcome much adversity this season. They never once competed with the same 20 athletes on the mat, and they did not let them stop them. As a family, they worked hard, never losing sight of their end goal, which was being top 10 and making day 2 of state. While they came just shy of making top 10, missing by .35, we could not be prouder of the performance they put on and how they pushed all season long. It is my honor and privilege to present these certificates of achievement to the following varsity athletes. Amaris Baker. Joylene Bills. Elijah Brutus. Isabel Castro. Captain Destiny Chandler. Kamaria Davis. Seth Heidelball. Jada Jones. Christina Malacara. Senior Anaya Marshall and Captain. Miles McAllister. Lauren Mitchell. Did you get out of order? Peyton Novak. Emily Pena. Melanie Perez. Michaela Plant. Raven Robinson. Hannah Stoll. And Kivette Tab. Thank you.
Ms. Ruddy. Illinois State Scholars, I assume.
Hi there, I'm Chris Ruddy, Assistant Principal at Bolingbrook High School, and we are proud to announce that we have 48 Illinois State Scholars this evening. Yeah. But before I recognize the students, I would like to congratulate the parents and family members that are here tonight. Thank you for your encouragement and support you give to our student that contributes to their academic success. Could you, if you are a parent of a student that was recognized tonight for Illinois State Scholars or any of them this evening, could you just please stand and be recognized so we can applaud you and thank you for supporting your kids? Thank you for everything that you do. Congratulations to the following students and that were able to make it here tonight of the 48. Joseph Bayless. Stephen Bila. Dalton Carr. Adrian Castillo. Jacob Chow. Luke Chow. Joseph Corso. Matthew Eberly. Aya Fawara. Nathaniel Gibbs. Owen Gutierrez. Neil Nigos. Oluwatosin Owolabi. Sana Shamsi. Amari Singleton. Kira Strong. Devin Suggs. Kivette Tab. She just might be on the cheer team. And Brendan Wagner. Congratulations.
Is that it? So you guys got to go home and go study and do stuff. You don't have to stay here for the rest of the meeting.
If they get to stay, all that excitement, we need the vibes in the air.
Please. Yeah, a little bit. So while the students and parents are departing, board liaison reports. Any and all from my left? Any and all from my right? I had one real brief, I guess it would fall under, not necessarily a board report, but we did have, I had a question about a grant that was granted to several school districts in the area on, it was under the new state program. And Valley View applied for that grant. We were number 59 out of 38 or 39 that were funded. Is that correct, Gary? So we did not fall in the category to collect somewhere in the neighborhood of there was $50 million that was awarded, and we were about 20 short. And it's based on all kinds of different qualifications and categories, but suffice it to say that if there's money out there, we typically are trying to, if we think we will qualify, we are typically on top of it trying to gather that money. So unfortunately, we did not, but I'm sure that the districts that needed it or got it probably needed it, and hopefully if that is opportunity next year or that program of $50 million is expanded, we will qualify down for the state of Illinois. Gary, if you want to.
Yeah, just a couple comments. That's the property tax relief grant. We would have qualified for up to $14 million of property relief. The one requirement is there had been a commensurate property tax abatement over the next 2 years, which was fine. We certainly would have been prepared to do that. The criteria this year were better than the first year of the program last year. The districts that did receive the relief grant were districts that were more in need, certainly, than the districts last year, but there's still a question about districts that are in Tier 3 and Tier 4 funding receiving that grant. Ideally, that grant relief should be going to Tier 1 and Tier 2 districts like ourselves. So hopefully they'll continue to refine the criteria so that it does go to the districts most in need.
Yeah, we have, you've heard it said here many, many times, the state of Illinois is woefully underfunded education over the years, but at least they're trying to bring something back to some normalcy under some of the new taxes and what have you that have been have been garnered the last year or so. Again, don't know where that ends up in the future, but at least we're trying. So, Gary, thanks for your efforts on that, and any appropriate staff that put that grant together. I didn't realize it was that much money that we were qualified. I know some of the districts in the South were $2 or $3 million, but when you have 30 districts, $2 or $3 million per doesn't take long to spend $50 million. So, audience participation. Is there anybody? Oh, Liz, I'm sorry.
Yes, I would just like to thank President Quigley and Assistant Superintendent Rachel Kinder as we attended the Black History Program where Dr. Mitchum received an award, and also Assistant Superintendent Kendra and I also attended the legislative breakfast in Joliet. So we have a lot of interesting things going on with the election coming up, so we were just glad to be able to participate in those different things.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience wish to address the board this evening? Please state your name, where you're from.
I'm Ann Hammond. I live in Bolingbrook. All of our children went through the Valley View School District. Our oldest son graduated from Romeoville, and our other three, two of them graduated from Bolingbrook High School. So I'm very pleased to be here. I would probably be considered a new stakeholder because when my kids were growing up, I just didn't have the time to attend the board meetings, and I understand those parents that can't. But now since we're retired, all of our kids are grown and gone, now I can come to the board meetings, so I'll be coming on a regular basis. I've attended, this is my third actual board meeting, and I have several questions for the board. The first question is, how many copies of the agenda are printed for the stakeholders attending the board meeting? I know you might not be able to answer all these now, but then maybe at the next meeting you can give me some answers. There doesn't seem to be enough. Are they made available in the language of all stakeholders in our community? If not, why not? My second question, are the agendas and minutes of the meetings made available for all stakeholders to review prior to and after the board meetings? If not, why not? Number three, is information regarding all open, administrative, and higher positions for the district made available to anyone in the country? If not, why not? Number four, who conducts the training for the Valley View School District 365U board, and how often is it done? Number five, how many spots are available in the auditorium for handicapped individuals such as myself who are uncomfortable sitting in the seats everyone else uses? Near the front, and so not just all the way in the back, but near the front for some of us that might want to address the meeting. And these are just a few of the questions that I had because I have not been in touch with many of my parents from the daycare in the last 3 years. I had a daycare that closed about 3 years ago, and many of the students from our daycare are actually students now in Valley View School District. So haven't talked to many of them in about 3 years. So I think some of them will start coming once they know Ms. Hammond is coming. So I just thank the board for giving me this opportunity to share, to ask my questions, and hopefully I can get some answers by the next board meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, hearing none. Moving down the agenda. Action reports. Ms. Kinder.
Yes, sir. Action Report 10.1, we are seeking approval of board meeting minutes for January 27th, 2020. I ask that the board approve these minutes as presented.
So move.
And Board President Quigley, if I might have just so that the record is clear, when the math issue was brought up at the last board meeting, it was found to be they had not passed. We've since looked at the school code, board policy, Robert's rules, et cetera, and determined that it passed, and that is reflected in these minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're at motion in a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Campbell? Yes. Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
Okay, 10.2, Student Due Process Case A, asking that the board approve this case as presented.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
Okay, and Action Report 10.3, this is Resolution 2004, Semi-Annual Review of Executive Session Minutes to determine need for continued confidential treatment and authorization for destruction of executive session tapes more than 18 months old. We are asking the board to approve this as presented.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
No.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Ms. Kinder?
Okay. This is Action Report 11.1. We are seeking approval of several board policies that are being presented. They were presented previously for information and review. These changes reflect Illinois Association of School Board Press Policy Service recommendations due to changes in various state and federal laws. The policies have also been reviewed by our legal counsel. The policies are 410, Fiscal and Business Management, 450, Payment Procedures, 490, Activity Funds, 4150, Facility Management and Building Programs, 4160, Environmental Quality of Building and Grounds, 4190, Targeted School Violence Prevention Program, 510, Equal Employment Opportunity and Minority Recruitment, and 7100, Health, Eye, and Dental Examinations, Immunizations, and Exclusions of Students.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion on board policies?
I have a couple questions on that. On 490, it says that we would close funds that are dormant for 12 months, and I'm sure this is in the trust account that each school has. What kind of funds would those be possibly? I know there's like, you have class funds for a class of 2 whatever. I know that when I was teaching at one time, that happened to a class and they were very upset that their money disappeared years ago. So that's what I was just wondering, if this is what could possibly happen, or what other funds would there be?
Yeah, typically you would close a fund, as you illustrated, a class fund. Otherwise, you can imagine our chart of accounts would grow, each year with the addition of a new class. If they were saving for some sort of memorial or some class gift, and they were really just trying to reach a goal, that fund, if it had a significant amount of funds remaining, would not be closed. But if there was no activity, no direction or objective to the fund, the principal might make a recommendation to close that fund and transfer those proceeds to another fund where those proceeds could be used.
So if they asked to keep it going, it would be okay? Because I know what they used to do is they used to keep it for their reunions, and then it disappeared. So if a class decided to ask to keep their funds there for something like that, would that be a possibility?
That really is asking the school, I think, to act as a fiduciary for something that may or may not happen. I personally don't like the idea of having that responsibility remaining with the school for that long of time, because as changes happen at the administration level, They may not realize that that fund is being kept open for a purpose like a reunion or something like that. But I think if there was some specific request, in writing, I certainly think that the school might be open to keeping it open.
Sounds good. And that would go to who, the request?
The principal, building principal.
Thank you. I have another question too, if everybody's okay with that. If we look at 4150, it says that we're going to change the amount of money that would need board approval from $12,500 to $50,000 on some things. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. The bidding requirements under school code require any purchase for supplies and materials up to greater than $25,000 to be bid, unless it's a project that wouldn't increase or change the scope of a building, that can go up to $50,000. Since this policy was related to facility management and building programs, we wanted the consistency in this particular section of the policy manual to coincide with, I think it's Ford:60, which is the purchasing and bidding section of our policy manual. And so really, we didn't want one to be out of sync with another. So it is following school code.
So the other one is in line with the 50,000?
Correct.
Okay, and I think I had another question. Let me see where it's at here. No, that's enough for right now. I can talk about some other things later. If we would like to revisit, if we pass these today and we would like to revisit it, we can do that, correct?
If they're passed today and there are revisions that are suggested down the road, we can always bring a motion to amend
Okay, thank you.
at a future board meeting.
It should be noted, oftentimes we're staying in compliance with state code, state law in these provisions as well, so. We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Mr. Grisafi, let's talk about vehicle replacement plans.
Yes, back in October, we brought an information report to address the long-term plan to replace our maintenance vehicles. This request is to purchase 3 new pickups for our facility operations department to replace 3 existing vehicles that are exceeded their useful life. First truck is a 1995 Chevy with 122,000 miles. Second truck is a 1999 GMC with 90,000 miles. The third is a 2001 Dodge half-ton van with 84,000 miles. All 3 of those vehicles have seen better days. They have been held together as best they can, both mechanically and body-wise, but certainly they present challenges for us with the operations. We have, over the last several years, looked to buy used vehicles that are in good shape and provide maybe a better purchasing opportunity. We do find ourselves that with 4x4 pickups, they do have high resale value, and we find that we can almost purchase a brand new pickup truck for the same price as we can for a used model with almost as many as 30,000 miles on them. And so we did put this out for bid. We received 2 competing quotes, one of which was from Bob Riding's Fleet Sales. We have purchased vehicles from them in the past under the state purchasing program. We have built into our FY20 budget the funds for these purchase of these vehicles, and if the board were to approve the vehicles, the existing vehicles will be donated to the Wilco Area Career Center for their use in their modification program, or their mechanical program. So at this time, we are recommending approval of the purchase of 3 Ford 250 4x4 pickups, 2020s, at a cost of $30,296 each from Bob Riding's Fleet Sales under the State of Illinois purchasing contract.
So moved.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion on vehicle purchases?
Yes, I have a question. As we discussed in our finance committee, these are the vehicles we're going to donate to WILCO,
Correct.
the old ones. Perfect.
Yep. Any other questions? We get our bang for our buck out of these cars, usually, or these trucks. I mean, they may not have a lot of miles, but they got a lot of years on them. Motion and second. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Bus leases.
Yes, at our December meeting, we discussed the lease of 4 activity buses. These buses could be driven for non-curricular events with a maximum of 14 passengers, plus a driver without a commercial driver's license or CDL endorsement. Since there's no CDL endorsement, we would implement and require an annual motor vehicle records check of any drivers that use the vehicles, as well as a training program that must be completed before the vehicle can be used. These buses would be equipped with 3-point safety belts, as all of our other buses are, along with other safety features and the latest safety equipment available. Buses in question are 2020 Chevrolet multi-function student activity buses. We would put them on a 5-year lease, similar to all of our other leases. The 14-passenger buses would cost $10,971 per unit annually, for an overall cost of $43,884 annually. We'd expect delivery sometime in July of 2020 with the lease expiration of July 2025. So at this time, we are recommending approval of the lease of 4 activity buses at a total cost of $43,884 annually, subject to final attorney approval.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Go ahead, Deb. Hang on.
We had discussion.
Oh,
Gary, I'd like to thank you first for checking into school districts that pay or don't pay their coaches to drive these buses. However, I wanted to go on record that these coaches are taking on a lot of responsibility and driving these children to and from much more than they're taking on just a coach. And I still think we need to check into it if we're possible to pay the coaches for driving.
I just wanted to comment on how great I think it is for us to have these in the schools. But we used to have them, and they were awesome. They came in very handy for a lot of different uses, and I'm glad we're getting them back.
roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
Final action this evening is the recommendation for the purchase of a production color copier with a 5-year maintenance agreement. We talked about this a couple meetings back. This would allow us the capabilities to print math workbooks in-house based on the prior meeting's approval of the IM Math for high school. And so you've got a lot of information there in front of you. We anticipate that the savings annually by taking this production in-house versus outsourcing it to the publisher, about $51,000 in savings annually. Based on the machine cost, my calculation is we would recoup our savings or our cost of the machine in just a little over 2.2 years. So we are recommending approval of the purchase of a Ricoh 7210 copier from Gordon Flesch for a total price of $119,719, along with entering into a 5-year maintenance agreement with the same company based on a .042 color impression and a .0032 black and white impression cost.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion on copier machines?
I have a question. That price of 119 blah blah, that is a purchase price one time?
Yes, it is.
And then the maintenance is a separate cost, or is that included?
That's separate annually, based on the number of impressions that we use.
And then I know the primary use is going to be for those booklets for math, but can others use these as well?
Absolutely. We throw anything and everything we can at it to keep these machines churning as long as we can. Right now, the machine that we have, a similar machine, not quite as advanced, is at its limit. And so with the in-house production of the middle school math, it is basically run all day, every day. But it's not the only thing that goes on that machine. There are other jobs that go on the machine.
With the second that we're getting, is it going to be, I thought it said in there maybe to 60 or 70% usage, something like that?
Yeah, let's see where that is. That's correct, yes.
And is that mostly for the math program, or I would really like to see these be used for other subjects as well, is what I'm getting at. So
They certainly are, and the print shop is expanding their services, and dependent on the requests they get from all across the district, they're used for a variety of needs, for like a brochure, or booklet, a lot of different materials, colored copies for different needs, so they're definitely used for other purposes to meet the demands across the district.
Thank you.
I would suggest any board member who has not been to the print shop to go visit that place. I was there on Tuesday, and very impressive as to what they can do, and saw that running the math material the day that I was there. So it's a very impressive place to go visit.
Very much appreciate you taking the time, Deb. It's amazing what they do, how much they've taken on, things that we never thought possible. I mean, they're doing T-shirts. They do a lot of the year-end, the yearbooks, and just can't say enough about Keith and his team and what they're capable of.
We have a motion, we have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Ms. Nash, Certified, Classified, and Administrative Personnel Report.
Thank you. Action Report 13.1 is our consolidated action report for certified and classified personnel. This evening, we're seeking approval on 24 items for certified personnel, 21 items for classified personnel, and 1 item for certified administrative personnel.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Capital improvement projects.
Mr. President, just one item. There was a question about advertising with respect to administrative positions, and if I may just inform the board this evening to answer that question. We do currently advertise externally and internally for administrative positions. One such platform is the Illinois Association of School Administrators Job Bank, so postings go on that particular website, which is offered or viewable by anyone across the country or the world. And also we automatically post on K-12 JobSpot, which we have found through some of the data we've collected through Frontline to be one of our most reliable methods of attracting new staff members to the district online. So K-12 JobSpot, again, is a nationwide, worldwide job-seeking website.
Thank you. Capital improvement projects report.
We thought it'd be a good idea to bring to the board and the community an update on our capital improvements project. Over the past 2 years, we've embarked on a multi-year capital improvement program that provides facility upgrades and infrastructure improvements throughout our district. We've had various meetings with board finance committee, senior leadership, and school administrators to identify which projects were deemed essential in support of the student environment. Many of these projects enhance learning environments, and others continue to ensure safety and welfare of our students, staff, and community. Projects completed to date, including the collaborative labs at both high schools, Jamie McGee Elementary exterior improvements, high school sound auditorium replacement at Bolingbrook High School, the main office renovation at Romeoville High School, John R. Tibbet flooring replacement, track resurfacing at both high schools and all the middle schools, tennis court resurfacing at the high schools and Brooks, turf replacement at the high schools, Oakview Elementary site improvements, Martinez Middle School sidewalk replacement, as well as the high school classroom and shop expansion at Romeoville. Projects that are currently in place and expected to be completed here in spring would be the Humphrey Middle School site improvements, namely the track area and field complex, as well as the sports complex at Romeoville High. And so quickly, I wanted to maybe run through some of the projects that we are expected to undertake here in the summer, with a completion targeted for the beginning of next school year. Bolingbrook High School parking lot. This would entail, be a phased project. We would start phase 1 to the south, namely that's the student parking area. And we would have phase 2, which would be to the west, and then phase 3, which would be the horseshoe out front of Bolingbrook High School. Again, you've got some project dates there and next steps. We're currently reviewing site work with the village, having engineering drawings prepared, and be bringing that to the board for approval. Independence parking, if you've ever been at Independence during arrival or dismissal, it is a very confined campus. Parking is pretty difficult. In and out of the parking area presents challenges, so we'd like to reconfigure that space there and redo the entire parking lot in the front of the building there. Similar timeline out to bid here middle of the month. Anticipated board approval sometime at the March board meeting. Transportation parking lot, phase 1, again, a 3-phase. We would, first phase is the parking closest to the actual transportation building. You've got a picture there. If you've been over there, it's definitely seen better days. You can imagine with all of the pounding that the parking area takes, with all of the buses in and out each day, every day. It is in need of a redo there. So again, a three-phased approach, similar timeline, out to bid in February, bringing bids to the board for approval in March. Oakview roof replacement, we think it's at least 20+ years old. We've been patching it as best we can, trying to get the most life out of it, but that's currently out to bid, bringing that to the board for approval in early March. Jamie McGee, mechanical replacement. At one time, we thought we'd be able to get away with maybe just replacing the heating and cooling plant, but once we started digging into the ceilings and looking at replacements of the mechanicals, really felt like the best approach would be to do a full-scale replacement of ductwork, VAV boxes, and with all the ceiling coming out and being replaced, we thought this would be a perfect time to replace all the lights with LED fixtures as well. And so we've got some competing proposals that are continue to be evaluated and fine-tuned. We did discuss this also at our finance committee. All these projects have been discussed at our finance committee meetings. Like to bring this to the board for approval on 2/24. This is probably the largest project that obviously impacts student attendance. And so not a lot of room for error. We've got to make sure that this project gets completed for the opening of the new school year. The field house floors at both high schools are coming up on 16 years old. They're pretty worn. There's been a lot of patching happening there. And so right now it's the product there is a poured urethane floor. We're going to go to a different type of product, a premier product that's used at the collegiate level called Mondo. It's kind of a loose laid floor that is seamed. But both, we've had a lot of input from the coaches as well as the principals at both buildings to make sure we get the product that they feel would be best serve their student population. Last is Brooks Middle School, gym flooring and bleachers. Right now they've got a kind of an overlay floor. They have asked for some time now for a wooden floor like the other middle schools. And so we feel good about the ability to give them that, along with replacing the bleachers that we feel are original to the building. And so that's also out to bid currently with bids being opened, or the bids were opened, I'm sorry. Board approval here at our next board meeting. So that's really what we have in the hopper. Again, another busy summer. All of these projects were identified in the original project list that supported the bond issuance, our last bond issuance back in 2018. So just giving you an update on that.
Any questions? These facilities are used extensively for any number of things, not just our school stuff, but the communities. There's always all kinds of events going on in our buildings all the time. The Jamie McGee thing, Gary and I and Vic looked at an alternative to trying to find a way to maybe save some money or help us with some capital headroom, as it were, on expenditures, and it just didn't make sense. We thought on the front end it might have made sense, but in the long term, leasing back our facilities didn't make as much sense as we thought it might in the beginning. Districts that are in financial distress, it might make sense too, but we're not in that situation, fortunately. So just going ahead and spending $4 or $5 million to gut and replace is going to kind of have to be what we're going to do here. Again, though, that those are how old? At Jamie McGee?
That's probably original. I think it's
Original
70.
equipment, so 40 years old plus. At some point, you can only cobble it together so long, and then you're buying used parts to put something into something that's used, and at some point, it just doesn't make sense. So you'll be bringing these all back another day for approval. So you have a couple weeks or so, or maybe longer on some of these projects if you have some questions of Gary or Mike Lopez, so kindly reach out to them.
I have a question for you, Gary. I see on the field house floors, they're going to do the covers, the cover plates and the holes, the electrical outlets on the floor. There's a little bit of an issue there with, I know they get torn up a lot. Those cover plates get torn up a lot because of all the usage that Steve was talking about. But I know the cleaning of the floor, the way they clean the floor with the Zamboni, a lot of water goes into the holes for the different poles, and I'm not even sure how it works with the electrical. I'm sure hopefully that's waterproof, but they're all rusted out as well. So I don't know what we could do about possibly looking into a better way of cleaning, I don't know, and replacing those. I guess they're metal lined holes. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that to light. We're aware of that situation, and for the money we're going to be spending, we're not going to be putting good over bad, and so those will be retrofitted as they need to be, if not tore out completely and replaced. The cleaning service, we are out. The bids are back for a cleaning service. At this point, we think we most likely may have a new cleaning service. We will make sure that whatever protocols they use to clean floors, especially a new floor, such as each high school will receive, they are trained and make sure that they do things properly. Not to say they weren't doing it properly, but over time, I think you get some water in there, you get some cleaning solution, and it does tend to eat away at those boxes. So.
Yeah, I'm sure if they just had a different method, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just thinking there could be a better way to do it.
Sure.
So that they're expensive, and to get those all rusted out, and then when you put a pole in there, you get splashed with rusty water isn't very nice.
Last is just letting you know that we're out to bid for trash removal and compactor rental. We had a 3-year contract with Waste Management. We had 2 one-year extensions, which we exercised, and so we had a mandatory pre-bid held on February 3rd. We had 2 companies show up, and so we anticipate receiving sealed bids here on February 19th, after which time we'll evaluate and bring those results to you for consideration.
Thank you. Now, what you all came for, legal services report.
No report.
It's impressive. AFT report. Thank you. Valley View Council report. Come on down.
Good evening, President Quigley, school board members, members of the community. My name's Art Tansel. I apologize for my voice. I literally came from a wrestling quad. As Ms. Polson knows, she was like, a quad on a Monday? I know. So I do apologize for my squeaky voice. It'll be better tomorrow, hopefully. I am Art Tansel. I am the union rep at Jane Addams Middle School, and I'm just proud to be here. And on behalf of our entire staff and our amazing administration, being second year in a row as exemplary, and that's really to the leadership of Ms. Polson and Ms. Adonik. We can't do it without them and our great staff. Just thank you for being here. You guys know we started with Renee and Dan when they took over. They're like, hey, you guys, we want to start getting you out to board meetings. So here we are, representing Jane Addams and most importantly, the union and the Valley View Council. This is Miss Andrews. She is a paraprofessional in our building. She's also the paraprofessional rep for the entire district, and she just wants to share a couple quick words. So thank you, guys. She said to lower it. I didn't realize it was going to pop on her.
Good evening. I just wanted to kind of express a little bit about Jane Addams and our staff. We have phrases that can describe what our staff is at Jane Addams. Kindness is the greatest gift to give that we give to children. Appreciate the little things that we have that we can be a part of a child's life. Treat everyone with acceptance and respect, no matter what gender, race they come from, or status. Listen before speaking, and think good thoughts and do good things. That's what our leadership practice. And we have an outstanding staff that stands together as a family. You wouldn't know that tonight because, see, they're at home right now resting up for the kids for tomorrow. So that's why we're representing Jane Addams. But we so appreciate your support that you give our school and our children and our administrators. And we thank you for all of the staff and administrators for Jane Addams Middle School, award-winning Jane Addams Middle School, as always. But thank you, and we appreciate your time, and of course, your talent as well.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Office personnel report. Apparently no report. Any old business before the board this evening? Any new business before the board this evening? Any questions from the public on actions we have taken this evening? Hearing none, seeing none.
I was at the board meeting last time when there was that math class, the math thing that we just approved tonight that wasn't approved at the last board meeting. Can you help us as parents understand how we can have something that was voted down at the last meeting, but now it's been approved this meeting? So help us as parents to be able to understand that action, if you could.
May I? Just very briefly, we went and took a look at the code, Robert's rules, and the board policy as to how abstentions are going to be treated. Certain circumstances, when somebody abstains, it's treated one way. In this particular case, it allowed the motion to pass. So what we had today was not a vote or a revote on the math. It was merely clarifying the record that the math vote, the vote on the math issue had passed at the last board meeting. So it was a vote purely on the minutes from the last board meeting.
Okay, as parents and stakeholders, are we allowed to see minutes from those meetings? And when would we see them? Because I haven't seen any yet. Maybe I'm not looking in the right place.
Yeah, they were passed today, and they are part of what is put on the board docs.
They're where now?
On board docs.
On board docs. Okay, didn't know that. Not sure there's a lot of other parents don't know that. Okay, board docs. So that's where we would find the minutes from all of the meetings. Okay, Good to know. Thank you. There was another thing. Oh, first of all, I must say, I am so glad I did not miss all those students that came in. That's what I come to these meetings for, to see what the kids are doing, to see what the teachers are doing, to see what the parents are doing at the centers. That's what this is important. That's the important thing of what we are all doing here. And you guys, we appreciate you so much as a board, because your role is to support children and families and teachers. The Valley View Council gave their report, and what they said about that one school is across the entire board of all of the schools in the Valley View School District. I've had experience with about 4 of them in my career as a parent and as an advocate, but I will tell you, you guys have teachers that love children, that love the work that they're doing, that commit to that. I mean, and it's not about their paychecks, none of them. It's about their love for children and what they're doing in those classrooms. That's why they're there. And so I commend you for supporting them. The only thing I would hope is that you kind of flip it a little. When we talk about what we want to fund, let's fund for those classrooms, for those teachers, for the students, and for the parents. Let's think about that at the top of the list, and then we think about the other stuff that supports. If we could do that, I think we'd be blessed beyond compare in our district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where are we at? Questions public? Any announcements by the board? So I just, more an announcement, Liz touched on it earlier, the Black History Month at Bolingbrook High School and the community event, 22 years in going, Winston Bernard and his crew have put that on. It's a fantastic event, and I did have the opportunity, I was honored to be able to present a plaque to Dr. Mitchum for his years of service to the district. I also made some comments about Leroy Brown, who is a big part of the, just a big part of the community, period. A big part of our school district community, the Bolingbrook community, the Valley View community, this county, who passed away a couple years ago. Leroy, and the words I used, was an icon in our community. His son was there presenting as well. And anybody who ever ran across, had any contact with Leroy, will miss him every day. And I still have his eulogy card. I express this at my desk, and when things get weird, particularly in the school world, I go, well, what would Leroy do? What would Leroy say? And the way he treated people and everybody that he met, he never treated anybody with disdain. He always treated people with respect. He would never let things get out of hand and get personal. And if you met the man and he spoke with such authority, he had to be respected, but he earned that respect. And I just really, it was one of those touching things. And I didn't have notes to speak at the other day. It was just one of those things that came out of the heart. And he will always be missed in my world. And also spoke of, Mayor Claire said he's not going to run again. So you have 2 huge leaders in these 2 communities of over 40 years of experience with Dr. Mitchum, Dr. Claire, and of course the loss of Leroy a couple years ago. So there's some big shoes to fill in our communities. I don't think these guys are going anywhere. They're going to be around for consulting, and I'm sure we'll bump into them in our local grocery stores and what have you. But it's a big deal. And I think that also the Valley View community, the village of Bolingbrook, they are what they are because of those 2 people. And again, big shoulders, big shoes to fill. And I think that those folks, when you run across these people, give them a debt of gratitude because they truly do deserve it. I've been, in my life professionally, I've had the opportunity to work in a lot of municipalities, worked around the state of Illinois, and seen a lot of communities. I've seen how things shouldn't be done, and I've seen how they should be done. And you're sitting in how it should be done, or you live in how it should be done. So that was my 2 cents worth for that. Any announcements by the administration?
I have one. Tomorrow at 4:15 here at Lukansick Middle School, State Senator Jennifer Bettino Tarrant is sponsoring a presentation by the Teacher Retirement System. The presentation is called From Your First Year to Your Last, and it is an informational session to help inform our educators about their pension benefit, how the TRS structure is formulated, factors in that are used to determine your pension, how to supplement pensions with self-funded plans for retirement savings, and information about legislative actions that could affect retirement plans, and what happens if you opt for different careers with your state pension. So district staff received an email and an invitation. All are welcome to this session, and we hope to see you there.
Thank you.
And the time?
4:15 here at Lukansick.
I'd like to say happy birthday to my husband today.
Is he here?
He's not here.
Good, then we don't have to sing. You don't have to hear me sing. Motion to adjourn will be in order if there's no further business.
So move.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Have a safe evening. It's supposed to get cold this week.